sound like you know what I'm going to say. You heard of us before? What would they call you here in America?
What's your race?
I'm Hispanic.
You Hispanic? Here you go. I want you to check this out. Because here in America, they call you Spaniard. That's really what it is. Meaning property of Spain. For real. You speak Spanish too?
No, man.
So you speak the Spaniard's tongue. They call you his property. Why do you think that is?
Why?
I'm sorry.
But what do you know about history?
Really not enough, but I'm asking.
Okay, good. I'm glad you asked because you and I, we have the same history of being owned by Caucasian race. We were owned by the English, and you were owned by the Spanish.
But what if I didn't know anybody?
You said, what if you didn't know anybody?
Own anybody?
Well, your ancestors did.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've got to trace back to 1050.
So, what if I showed you in the Bible that Hernan Cortez was going to conquer Italy? Have you heard of Hernan Cortez? Conquistador?
This is very new.
Did you know that it was written in the Bible that that history was going to take place against us?
I did not know that.
So let me show you. Start off with Deuteronomy 28 from afar.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
So God said he was going to bring a nation from far. So we can clearly say that Spain and Britain is far from the U.S., right?
Yeah.
Read.
From the end of the earth,
Uh-huh.
as swift as the eagle fly.
So when you look at the Spaniards, the Americans, the Greeks, the Romans, these are Caucasian races, right?
Yeah.
They all have the eagle as their symbol. At one point in time, they all had the eagle as their symbol, and that's what this is reading. Telling you which enemy is going to do it. Read.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Do you know what language you spoke before the Spaniards came?
I did not.
So they spoke a language that you didn't know and gave it to you, right? Read.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Now, which Hispanic race are you?
I'm Spaniard and Mexican.
Spaniard and Mexican. Who's Spaniard? Mom or dad?
Mom.
Mom. So dad's the Mexican. So you would be Issachar, according to the Bible. Now there was a Spanish-Mexican war, right? Did they regard people of old and young during that war?
Uh-huh.
They conquered everything. Y'all had temples and pyramids as well. And they smashed everything, burned everything down to the ground. And there's absolutely no presence of y'all even living on this side of the border, right? Because y'all had California, the whole West Coast, all that Mexico,
Texas.
which is New Mexico is in America. How is it New Mexico in America?
You know.
And it's yours. But they pushed all y'all down, along with the natives, pushed y'all down and called y'all what was they, the Aztecs?
Yeah, the Aztecs.
Aztec Indians, which is a slave, Latin for slave. But that's fierce, right? Read.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Uh-huh.
And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed.
When we destroyed the people? Because obviously we got beat in the war, and y'all obviously got pushed down into what's known as Mexico today. And they steal the resources out of Mexico and use it for America, like avocado. Big business in Mexico. And they use the avocado to profit America. And it kills y'all's land. That's eating the fruit of your land. Read.
Which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil.
So jump down to 68. This is where the prophecy of the Bible goes into us being slaves. That was the war side of it. And what do you call it when they take the resources? What was the word? I got it written down in my Bible.
I don't know the exact word.
Exploit. Yeah, exploit is.
Yeah, you can say that.
But that's not what I'm looking for. But
Yeah.
read 68.
Verse
Watch
68.
this.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So he said he was going to bring us into slavery because all Israel were slaves in Egypt. Read.
With ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee.
So just as we learned it in history, Moses is telling us that we were going to be slaves, you and I. Read.
Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
So on that flyer, you can see on the front, check out the front of that flyer. You can see African Americans, so-called, and so-called Native Indians being sold by the same white man. This is our history. And why I'm telling you this is because this is what's going to now save us. Now that we know that we're Israel and not Mexican. Mexican is mixed dog. That's what it translates to. You're not a mixed dog, are you? No. So we don't want to call ourselves ungodly Gentile names. We want to be called what God called us.
Right.
And you'll be Issachar, meaning he's hired. Give me that. Did you finish that? The bondman and bond?
For, excuse me. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
So that word buy you, meaning no man can redeem you from those curses. Because have we been freed from America's stronghold on us?
That's a no.
So the prophecy is true. Because you had the Chinese, the Japanese, they came over here as immigrants. You had the Irish come over here as immigrants. Are they suffering the same thing? Give me Judah and Israel pressed together. Have they suffered what we suffered? You said they have?
Almost every race has gone through slavery.
In some way, yes. But did they go on there by slave ships and a continuous oppression? Did they have their land taken from them and their memory wiped of who they were? Because the Chinese know they're from China and they have their ancient Chinese secrets, right? Well, what's our ancient history? You can only go back as far as the Aztecs, right? Because all I know is America.
Right.
But they can tell you their great-grandfather was from this dynasty and that dynasty. We can look on Ancestry.com to figure out where we got our names from, and it's going to go back to some white man in Europe. So where does our history begin? And it's right here.
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah will press together.
So Judah would be the African American. Read that again.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah.
So Israel would be the Indian tribes, Hispanics. That's who Israel is. So all of us are brothers, and we're all being oppressed together. Because can't you relate to what happens to Cubans? Conquered by the same Spaniards, right?
Yeah.
Puerto Ricans, conquered by the same ones, right? Haitians, Jamaicans, conquered by the British and English. So we have the same history, and we're going through the same thing in America and with America, because they use these other islands and countries to their benefit while giving us little. So it's saying we're oppressed together. We're dealing with the same type of Caucasian race oppressing us. What questions do you have? You looking like you're running out of time, but I see your brain moving. What you got?
I mean, I'm just listening. hearing what you got to say, taking in the word. I do got places to be, but giving you my time because you're here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. Why not?
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I was gonna just say the same thing. Because most times, when you think about it, we don't know that according to the scriptures, it tells us that, a man's going to serve the Lord. It wasn't no coincidence that you was happening to be here at this particular time, because everything that he went through just a minute ago, it relates to me, you, and the rest of our brothers and sisters that went through these certain trials and tribulations. So it's definitely for a reason. You're definitely here for a cause. And it's a bigger cause than anybody or any other nation done ever told you about until now that you're hearing out of this book right here. So it's definitely a reason. And it's a good reason. It's a great reason. It's an awesome reason to find out that you are a part of the 12 tribes of Israel, that you're God's chosen people. You know what I'm saying? They never told you that. Have you ever heard that before?
I've not heard that.
I haven't either, you know what I'm saying, until now. But all these things are culturally taken from us, but they were still recorded in this Bible. This Bible right here, this book was written by us, for us, and to us, you know what I'm saying? So everything that we're referring to, it goes back biblically in time, and it's record right here. We just didn't know to put ourselves in this position or in this place of time because we didn't know no better, you know what I'm saying? They told us that we wasn't the people. They told us that we evolved from monkeys. We came from this, we came from that. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many things that we came from, but we was never told that we came from God's chosen, and we was a part of His chosen people. We was never told that.
So check this out. I told you was from Issachar. I'm gonna give you these last two verses just to prove what I said. Because the Bible says where you're going to be in the last days, and this is what our forefather Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. That's why we're called Israelites, because we're the family, the sons and daughters of Israel. But read Genesis 49:1.
That's the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together.
That's what we're trying to do now, is gather the 12 tribes, just like we're commanded to do under Christ. Read.
That I may tell you that what shall befall you in the last days.
So we're living in the last days, right?
Maybe.
It looks like war's going to pop off in a few more minutes.
We just had a nice sized earthquake in New York. Like in various places, there's a lot of things popping out.
People was complaining about moving to Oklahoma because they wanted to stay away from tornadoes, but it's happening in where they live too.
Yeah.
So we're living in the last times due to the signs that we know. Read.
Verse 14. Issachar is a strong ass.
Aren't y'all hard workers? A donkey is a small animal compared to like a horse or an ox, right? But it carries a lot of weight. And even when y'all do the coffee commercials back in the day, or the siestas, you laying on the donkey, taking a siesta.
Yep.
Strong ass. Read.
Couching down between two burdens.
Couching down between burdens. Two burdens is North America and South America, putting Mexico right in the middle. Read.
And he saw that rest was
and
good.
I say the two burdens because the traffic that comes through there. Merchandise, the Panama Canal, there's a lot of imports and exports going in and out. Read.
And he saw that rest was good.
A siesta. No other tribe is known for a siesta. Mexicans are. Issachar is. So our forefather Jacob is telling us characteristics that we would have in these latter days to identify us today. Read.
In the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute.
So that's it on that. So, based off of what we read, what is your race or nationality? Because you got to think about it. Are we gonna let the white man name us, or are we gonna let God name us? Which one holds more weight?
I give myself my own name. Because God's within me.
All right. So when you fill out an application, what race do they say you are?
Hispanic/Latino.
So you gonna let the white man name you, or you gonna let God name you?
I ain't gonna let the white man name.
So what did God call you? You believe in God, right?
I believe in a higher power.
That'll be God. That's what a higher power is, a God. That's the definition of it, or the or a title of it. But the higher power called you something great, and that's a prince with power, with God and man. That's what Israel means. And your forefather, our forefather Jacob, named you Issachar. These are God-given names. So would you rather be called Mexican, mixed dog, or Issachar?
No, I think he had a hard time grasping it.
No, I think I understand. I just don't think like the feeling of having to choose.
Right.
Because I'm not bound by no name. I am what I am, and I'm going to be what I want to be. So I'm not bound to no subject or no name, so I don't got to choose what I'm going to be called. Because I am just myself. I don't care what nobody else got to call me.
But you've been going a whole life going by what a man calls you. You fill out the application, when you get your loans and this and whatnot, you're going by that. Because one of the first things I asked you was, what's your race?
Yeah.
And you didn't hesitate, Hispanic.
That's what I am.
But God said you're not. You're not property of Spain.
Right.
And that's good.
You're God's property, and He calls you Israel, from the family of Issachar.
Heard.
Because the same person that named you wiped out your history and gave you a new one.
So aren't you just saying the same thing in a different form and giving it to a different power?
Nope. I mean, if you want to look at it like that, I'd say yeah, because the God that created everything created the person that we gave power to. And we see Him as God and not ourselves. Give me that in Psalms. You're God on earth, but you want to be called what man calls you.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 82 and verse 6.
Uh-huh.
I say, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
See? You're a God. And you're a child of God. The other nations are not so.
Right.
They
right.
children of men, but we're children of God. So we should call ourselves by that. Didn't we go to church and see a white man hanging from a cross? Everybody had on their Easter Sunday best.
Man.
Praising white Jesus for eggs.
You said go to church on Sunday?
Yeah.
That's past, I ain't go to church.
Oh, praise. I know you don't go to church no more.
I ain't been to church in years.
Oh, okay.
Church is when you talk about God wherever you at, to me. That's when you get to learning more about what's going on. You hear me? But what they preaching over there, for me to go over there and give them some money, and I'm still over here struggling, I'm not doing that. That's not church. When the church asked me to come in there and pay for their bills, and they not paying for mine.
Yep.
That's not church.
It don't add up.
They don't.
Yeah, that's what they say, the math ain't math.
Man, tired of the offering.
Nah, it's
All right,
not.
bro.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Take a look at that fire.
Yeah, it got
Consider.
everything in there. Like when you look on the back, at the bottom it got all types of information, because one thing about it, we don't want, like you, I know you're a strong individual, I can tell, wisdom wise, mentally, physically, but we don't want you to just listen and just take our word for it, because everything that was said can be drawn out of the book. So what we do, we provoke one to thought, because that was one that's something that happened to us a long time ago, for 4 or some years. They made it to where we stopped thinking, we stopped reading, we didn't try to learn how to write, we didn't do nothing. We just stopped. We just totally stopped everything. So now we are in, the year to where that phone it got so much knowledge, and it's a computer. You got a computer in your pocket. It's knowledge all around you. It's nothing that you can't go search out for yourself, because I didn't get here by just listening to somebody and believing somebody. I had to go search it out for myself. Therefore, it builds up a different type of belief, because I can say, oh no, I read that. You know what? I did my studies. That did happen to us as a nation of people. You know what? They did stop the Hispanics from doing this. They did merge us together and then take all our resources. Oh, now it's starting to add up, but in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you come from. And it wasn't the prophecy of Spain where you guys, as a nation of people, started out. It started from the Bible, from the beginning of Genesis. That's what Genesis means, the beginning. It started from the beginning. When the Most High, that higher power that you're referring to, he breathed into our nostrils the breath of life, and he gave everything into his chosen people, which is the blacks, Hispanics, and the Native Americans of today, who are the children of Israel. That's why knowing your name means something, because when you have a foundation and you build something, just like every corporation, you know, you think about, you know, Walmart, and you think about, you know, Amazon, all that, it's a brand name. The name means something. Your name means something. And if you build up some type of corporation and you pass it down to your son and he want to change the name, you're going to have a problem with it, because the name holds value, it holds weight. Therefore, they took your name, biblically, that holds value, that holds weight, and they said, no, let's give them something that's gold plated. Don't give them the real gold. Give them something that's, you know what I'm saying, make them think this. But the name originally given to you, it holds so much power and so much weight, they had to take it and strip it from you and give you something that didn't mean anything. So that's why we went in more detail about who you are, what's your nationality according to the Bible, what's your name according to the Bible. And that's also why you feel like, regardless of what name it is or whatever that, I'm going to name myself because I feel like a God. That's because something in you is trying to rebrand yourself. Because you know deep down inside, whatever that was given to us through the midst of captivity, it wasn't right. You feel it. We know we ain't stupid. We feel what's going on, and we bear witness that we are the children of God. We just don't know how to get there. But this is how to get there. You got to read it for yourself. So everything that's in that flyer, check it out. We got information, contact information. We got YouTube information. We got all type of, you know, platform that's biblically platformed, but it's made to educate our people in so many different ways. So when you get a chance, check that out.
All right.
Yes, sir. You be safe too, me, bro.
You too.
Hey, Lee, when he came through earlier, he was speaking on the Passover.
Right.
And I don't know if he relayed the message or not, but I was told him to tell y'all, man, want y'all further explain y'all version of the Passover.
You know, I was going to get into that anyway. He didn't pass the message. If he did, I got so many messages, I probably missed over it. But I did want to touch on that because they cover up Passover with Easter. Because that's what we're getting ready to celebrate, the 8th, sundown. And y'all know about 4th of July, right?
The Independence Day.
Yeah, it's Independence Day, right? America celebrates its victory over Britain. Well,
Right.
Passover is our victory over Egypt.
Right.
That's something that we should take pride in instead of popping fireworks and going out for Juneteenth for Free the Negro Day. This is the ultimate freedom day that God stepped in and said, listen, I'm finna embarrass, kill for you and give you all the glory for my name's sake.
Right.
That's what Passover is, and they cover it up with bunnies and Easter eggs. And
Right. We was talking about that last week when you know, they say Easter, it changes every year, you know, and that's I don't know how they figure out the Easter dates or whatever, but you know, it don't coincide with, you know, when Jesus came back or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So That's why I was asking him, won't they going? Because, you know, we had a whole conversation about it, about when the year starts compared to how they got, you know, the new year starts in January, but technically the new year don't start till April, you know, after the first moon and everything. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to see if y'all could elaborate on that a little more.
So let's start from the beginning. I'll give a full detail. We'll start off with the first month. Give me the month of Abib. Abib means year of corn. That's when the crops grow.
Right.
Sounds like springtime, right?
Like you just referred to, it's the beginning. It's when everything blossoms and blooms.
Why would you start the year in the dead of winter when everything is dead and cold?
Right.
You know.
And that, to us, it never made sense. We go along with it as people because that's the way society's set up. But it's that thought in the back of your mind, like, something's off. This doesn't seem right. Winter starts about November, December, but we're celebrating a new year towards the middle end of winter, where everything's gone dead. But read that.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16 and verse 1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God.
So the month of Abib is between March and April. Why is it between March and April? It's because of how they set up the Gregorian calendar. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 1, and I think I want 13 and 14, where it tells us how to establish months. And then I want Surah.
No, you go with what you've been doing. I'm just saying.
I think it is.
Go ahead. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 13. Verse 14. And the Lord said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven.
So this is the creation of the sun and the moon. Read.
To divide the day from the night.
Yeah. From last time, I told you that the sun and the moon is in the firmament. This is the verse that tells you that it's inside of the firmament. Read.
Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night.
All right.
And let them be for signs and for seasons, and for days and years.
So that's our time, our watch, and our calendar. Give me the Surah for the moon. How do we know the days and the months are moving? Because we can tell off the sun that when the sun is up, that's the first hour. Sun's down, that's the last hour of the day, and it's nighttime. But how do we get days and months out of this?
Right.
Read.
It's the
And
book of
the sun and the moon was created in the fourth day. Read.
it's the book of Sirach, chapter 43 and verse 6.
Uh-huh.
He made the moon also to serve in her season, for a declaration of times.
So for a declaration of time, what time is this going to tell? Read.
And the sign of the world.
Uh-huh.
From the moon is the sign of feast.
So it's telling us you're going to base your feast off of the moon. And it's going to further elaborate. Read.
A light that decreaseth in her perfection.
So it's a full moon, that white moon in the sky. That light is going to decrease. So on the fourth day when it was created, it was already shaded to symbolize the fourth day. Read.
The month is called after her name.
So half of that is going to be 7 days. Going to a full dark moon, that's going to be a black moon. That's 14 days.
Right.
Shade some more all the way to white, that's another 14 days. That's a full month. So based off of the moon, we can tell what day it is. And that's how we calculated how to get to each month to each high holy day. So go back to
Genesis.
no, not Genesis. Go back to Leviticus 23. So now we want to know, when is Passover?
I was reading, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was reading this Native American history thing, and your phone, Jeremiah, ready for you. But they how they scheduled the day they was born, because before American people came, that's how they went off the moon. He would tell you, I was born what he said, so many shades after the first moon, and between this time and that's how they tell them when they was born. They couldn't really just tell the exact date, but they went off the moon. You know what I'm saying? In the time of the year. But go ahead. That's what threw me.
And I used to hear that a lot with the Gadites.
Yeah.
They'll be like many moons ago when they tell a story. Many moons ago.
Yeah.
Why are they telling stories off of moons? Because they know the Bible.
That's right.
They knew how to count the days off of the moon. As to how the Aztecs got the greatest calendar in the world, because they knew how to count the days off of the moon.
On point.
And it's still years ahead of what America can do. Well, I'll say Esau can do. Because of the wisdom of God.
You're right.
Leviticus 23, what you going to say?
And because they did that with the time as well. That's how they created the sundial time. You know what I'm saying? They had this little instrument.
That was created by a black man.
Yeah, it was our people, because they used these things to declare what time of the day, what time of the month, what time of the year, and they had these particular instruments that they used. And as the sun moved this way, you can actually tell what time it was. The shades, like you was referring to, the shades of this, that was the days. And like Officer just said, far as the moons, that was the months, so many months ago, you know what I'm saying? To where this is how we live, and it was no problem. You're talking about the wisdom that we had as a nation of people, just being in our own land, our culture and all that was so amazing. To, like Officer said, they still can't even tap in and overdo what we had going on back then, because they don't know how.
And back in those days, not to cut you off, they had the harvest moon. That's when they knew it was time to pull the crops. And that's
We can show you right
yeah.
What
Right.
you said,
Right.
right? What
You
you
on
just said
point.
is in the Bible.
Right. You on point.
But you remember your grandpa, he didn't have no watch. Had no pocket watch, he didn't have no wristwatch, but he knew what time it was. He'll go outside, face the north, look at it, like, okay, it's almost 12. Because the sun tells time. That's how you are sundown. You just stand north, and you can get about the hour that you're in just by that. And the Most High is so great. It's set up. The sun rises in the east. It even tells you what season it is based on the position of the rising of the sun.
That's deep.
Listen, I
right.
did this when I was working at a warehouse, and I noticed that in the winter, the sun was all the way up there, over towards the south, rising. Coming back, going to spring, it'll rise dead east. And in the summer, it'll be
on that
north.
way.
It'll be rising all the way north.
because it has a longer track.
So the day is longer.
It's longer.
Right.
So when it comes back to the east, it's fall. So I'm like, that's the clock. That's how we know the seasons. Read it again in Genesis. For signs and for seasons.
It's the book
Just
of
to
Genesis,
solidify what I said.
chapter 1 and verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons.
So I thought about that scripture. I'm like, okay, I got the moon. I know the moon is months. But it had the sun and the moon in the same season. It said, let them be for signs and seasons. Well, how can you tell the season off of the sun? And it's the position of when it rises. It's going to tell you what season it is. I thought that was dope.
No, that is.
But go ahead with Leviticus.
Leviticus,
The Passover?
chapter 23 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Lord.
So
which ye
he's telling us what we are supposed to celebrate, because they call Easter a holy week, but there's nothing holy about that week. You're celebrating
Ishtar.
Ishtar.
Yeah.
That's Satanist.
She a fertility goddess.
Yeah.
So that's what the eggs represent. It represents the seed, the child, the money. All that is a representation of fertility. You know what I'm saying? That's nothing that, if you look at the origin of it, that's nothing that you will want to represent, attach to God, or teach your children as we go along in this future. You know what I'm saying? You remember the old saying, like, all y'all do is have sex like a little jackrabbit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the whole, or just the rabbit itself, the egg. Rabbits don't even lay eggs. That's the biggest thing that went over our heads so long. So many rabbits.
But everybody had questions.
Yeah, they don't. And we see these things that we know what we learned in school, but we don't attach them to each other and
Because
question.
rabbits don't breed all year. That's what they don't say. It's a certain time of year that rabbits breed, and that's why they come into play, because this is the time. Like, if you ever hunt rabbits, you know, it's a certain time of the year that you can hunt them. It's a certain time that you can't, because they, you know, they trying to mate, and
they gotta get themselves prepared for the next.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so all this is attached to us, like, from, you know, our big mamas that lost their way, and they taught it to us, and they pushed it in us Easter. You know what I'm saying? Then so long that origin got attached to God, and it's like, okay, now.
No, it didn't get attached. They put it there. They put paganism and tried to mate it with God. And you can't, because the natural way of life is telling you something is off about this.
Right.
I don't know what bunnies and Easter eggs have to do with Christ dying. The two, it don't relate to one another.
Right.
So that question has always been in the air, and all this time we've been in idolatry with Ishtar.
Bam.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
Hey, Shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ blessed. Deacon Abiel in the building. Listen, subscribe to IUIC Oklahoma YouTube page. We got a lot more content coming out. We got the captains, we got the officers about to drop some fire. Stay tuned, and don't forget, fix your faces on IUIC Oklahoma. Stay tuned with the latest and greatest content that we got coming out. All praise be to the Most High God. Shalom.
Read Passover.
It is.
Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations.
So these are the holy convocations. This is what we're supposed to be celebrating. The whole world is supposed to celebrate this. Not Ramadan, not Halloween, not Easter, not none of that. None of those things are in the Bible. Read.
Which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
In their seasons. Now we establish how to get the seasons. Read.
In the 14th day of the first month at even.
So 14 days. So what should the moon look like in 14 days?
Should be half, right?
Should we have?
7 is half.
Oh, it should be dark.
So it should be a dark moon. In 14 days, it should be a dark moon. So when you see that dark moon, you know that it's 14 days. Coming from the white moon, which is the new moon, that's going to be the beginning, that's going to be the first day. From that day, you're going to count. And you're going to see the different shadings of the moon. It's going to get half, then it's going to go all the way black to what is the full moon, not new moon. Read.
Excuse me. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
So when the sun goes down, because that's when the day starts, according to Genesis, at evening. Read.
Is the Lord's Passover.
So that will be the Passover. So we have how many days left? It's the 8th.
Yeah,
So we got about three,
more days.
4 more days into that 14th day. And when y'all go out at night, y'all gonna see that it's a black moon, and that's when you know, dang, tonight it's gonna be the Passover. So what do we got to do on the Passover? Read.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord.
In this Passover, you have the Passover celebration. In that Holy Week, you have the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Read. So, speaking of that, all black people, we spring clean. That's tradition for us, right? But we finna read why it's tradition. It's ingrained in us. It's like, oh, it's springtime, man. Let me do that project I've been saying I was gonna do in the winter and the fall. It's like we wait till the spring
To
to
do
do
it.
the spring cleaning.
Yep. Get all up under the
Every
couch.
day. Hey,
Move
kids
the
is
couch out
mad.
the way.
But why is it ingrained? Why is it tradition in black people? I always like, say it again?
Traditionally, it's the new year, the beginning of a new year.
But it's something that's in us as to why we do it. We don't know why we spring clean. It's just a thing in us. Read.
Excuse me. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread.
Uh-huh.
And the first day you shall have an holy convocation.
So, in order for us to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread, we have to get all the leaven out of the house. That's all the breads and things of that nature that has yeast in it that rises. So, you know, you be eating in the living room, crumbs fall down, you don't see them, they drink. We got to clean all that stuff up. Toaster got to go, got to clean out the oven. So, traditionally that turns into just clean up the whole house because of that fear of God. Like if there's a morsel of leaven in my house, I'm going to be cut off. Read.
You shall do no servile work therein.
So on the 15th day, which starts at evening, the 14th day at evening, that's the 15th day, no work. It's a rest day. Just like a normal 7th-day Sabbath. No work, no buying, no selling, and we're going to come together and party. Read.
Oh, you want to go to the Exodus?
Yeah.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 3.
Hold on, let me go ahead, read it.
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month you shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers.
So this was the preparation. So on the 10th day, they're preparing to bring in the Passover. Read.
A lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb.
So what it's explaining is, you need enough lamb to cover your household. No more, no less. Read.
Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year.
So it's telling you what type of lamb you have to have. Read.
You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month.
So don't prepare it, but don't kill it yet. It has to be done right then and there. You can't, like we do it in America. We go buy it in the store. It's already chopped up. It wasn't done like that in the beginning. Read.
And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper doorposts, on the houses wherein they shall eat it.
So what he's going into is, y'all seen the Prince of Egypt? Or y'all remember when Pharaoh's son, well, all the firstborn kids were killed? This is what this Passover is. This is what it represents. This is Christ passing over Egypt.
You put that on your door.
Right.
And
So-
he passed over that house because,
You
now it's
kept
coming
you
back.
kept the commandment of God.
It's coming
You know,
back now.
Your firstborn ain't gonna die because you have the blood of the lamb on your doorposts. Read.
And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast
you're gonna-
with fire.
You're gonna take the blood. You're gonna put it on the doorpost, but you're gonna eat the lamb. Read.
And unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
So the bitter herbs, that'll be your dandelions, what is it, cilantro?
Yeah.
So this is the meal.
Arugula.
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 Arugula. But this is the meal that you eat for Passover. Lamb, bitter herb, and unleavened cakes. Or bread. And some wine. Read.
Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water.
Black people don't eat raw food anyway, but it says you can't season it. Read.
But roast it with fire.
And it has to be grilled.
Right.
It can't be baked, it can't be boiled. You gotta put that thing in the fire. Read.
His head and his legs, and with the I don't know how to say it, thereof.
With the what?
Pertinence thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remaineth of it until the morning you shall burn with fire.
That's why I said get exactly what your household needs, because you can't leave anything over. And if anything is left over, you burn it with fire. Now, finish that out.
And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
The reason why he told them to eat it in haste, because right after you finish this, Egypt is gonna cry out, and you're gonna be forced out of the land. Y'all gonna have to go, because what would happen in this nation if our God persecuted everybody here in America? They gonna come after us.
Right.
So that's what we're reading. He's like, listen, y'all eat it in haste and go. Go where I tell you, follow Moses. Going into the wilderness. Read.
For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment.
So
I am the Lord.
So he's telling us that he's going to execute judgment in Egypt. He's going to destroy their gods, their firstborn. Imagine if you took out powerhouses here in America.
Man.
They're going to be mad at us.
Yes.
They're going to hate us because our God did something to their gods. Go to Revelation 11 and 8.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
That's why I said sorry you celebrated Easter, because we're in a dead state serving other gods when we don't know no better. We're still physically living, but spiritually we have no knowledge of God and what we're supposed to do. Read.
Which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
We are still worshiping Egyptian gods here in America.
Right. Tough too.
Read.
Where also our Lord was crucified.
So Easter is a crucifixion of Christ. What does this have to do with Christ? Y'all crucifying the words of God. Right now celebrating that holiday. It had nothing to do with Ishtar, bunnies, eggs, candy, and finding the Easter egg hunt. It had nothing to do with that. That's the crucifixion. That's why I went here to explain what's taking place in these days. We're still living like Egyptians. Go back.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it. You shall keep it. Verse 13. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are.
So the token. Remember that blood token. Right now in history, that was so the Spirit will pass over. Read.
And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations.
So to this day, we're supposed to be keeping that holy day. And everybody say they followers of Christ. I follow Christ, Resurrection Day. I'm going to mourn Jesus' death, but he said, you do this. If you want to follow me and remember me and what I did for the world, you're supposed to do this. But what is the world doing? Their own thing. Go to Matthew 26. And I think it's 24. The first line says, and even they kept the Passover. After Judas Iscariot.
Okay. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 17. Excuse me. Now the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
So this is what we call the Last Supper. The Last Supper was Passover.
Right.
Read.
The disciples came
But they
to
don't
Jesus.
tell you that in Christianity. They just call it the Last Supper. But why were they hosting a feast? What was the significance of them coming together? And that feast was the Passover. Read.
The disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? And he said, Go into the city of such a man, and say unto him, The master saith, My time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house.
So this is Christ telling his disciples to set us up a place, and we're going to keep the Passover at this man's place. Read.
With my disciples. And disciples did, as Jesus had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover.
So just like it was told to them to do in Moses' writing, Christ is obeying that same commandment. He's keeping the feast with the 12 disciples and all the brethren that were there. Read.
Now when
sisters.
Now when the even was come, he sat down with the 12.
So now they're about to eat the meal, just like it was told in Exodus. Read.
And as they did eat, he said, Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord.
Jump down to where he said, This is my blood.
Verse 26. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it, and brake it, and gave it to the disciples, and said, Take, eat,
so
this is my body.
We do communion right in church. Not we, but as religious people, they do communion. This is where they get it from. This was during Passover that he's making this statement.
Right.
Why is he making this statement? Read.
And he took the cup and gave thanks, and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins.
So we've all heard Christians say, I'm in the blood of Christ. Well, this is the symbolism of being in the blood of Christ. Because back in Moses' times, you were under the blood of bulls, goats, and rams, and turtle doves. That was the covenant. But Christ is telling you, this blood right now, this is the new covenant that you're taking in. That's what communion is supposed to be about, is you honoring and keeping the commandments of God. That's the covenant that we're coming into. Read.
But I said to you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine, until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
Hey, how you doing, fam?
Come in, grab that man a flyer.
You walking in?
Yeah, somebody told me about a new name, Elijah.
Alright, hold on. He just took a phone call.
Appreciate you.
All right, man, grab a seat. Make yourself comfortable.
What's your name? What's your name? Dietrich. Okay.
Have you ever heard of Israelites?
I mean, I heard of them, but don't know anything about it.
You don't know nothing about them? Well, what's your nationality?
African American.
So you know an Israelite your whole life?
I didn't until now.
Just look in the mirror.
What?
You're an Israelite.
That's
who you are. So what we're doing is bringing the history and the proof that that's who you are. Right now, we're going over Passover. And the verse that we're in right now is the Last Supper and Christ explaining the new covenant that we're supposed to be under. You go to church?
I just moved out here, but I do go to church.
You do go to church? You take communion? What's the significance of communion? Why do you take it?
Bread is to represent the body of Christ.
Okay.
And then wine, well, the drink of it is to represent the blood of his sacrifice.
All right. So those are the symbolisms of the bread and wine, but what's the importance of you doing it?
Don't know.
You don't know. All these, how many years you been to church?
Just a youngin'.
So if you got a book and a place that you go to learn about God, they're supposed to tell you each instrumental step on what you're doing, right? You wouldn't just blindly follow somebody into something, right? Well, that's kind of what Christianity, that's exactly what Christianity has done. Was blindly following things that we don't even know. Like, how long does it take to get a bachelor's degree?
2-3 years.
2-3 years, right? And they teach you every single thing you need to know to obtain that degree, right? Why ain't Christianity like that? Because you're supposed to know how to get to heaven. I should be able to walk up to you and say, how do you get to the kingdom of heaven? You being a church boy, you should be able to tell me, right? Can you?
I don't know the exact stuff, but I could tell you some things to follow.
And what are those things?
Like sinning, sinning part, sin too much.
Okay,
sin
so
at all.
what's a sin?
Anything to go against God's will.
Well, if we got a manual in a book, I need you to drive me to that.
As in like murdering, homicide, stealing,
So watch this. I'm gonna give you a law that you've probably never heard of.
But that's why the revelation he told us, blessed is he that readeth. You know, it's very good to the soul, the body, and the mind that you actually read these things.
Just hit that white truck out there.
No, sir. That lady, the old lady.
Yeah, she did.
It's your truck.
She dipped out too, bro. Which one?
Oh.
Like you come in with the always playing.
Oh,
Everybody with white truck. Hey, I'm like this. He like, yeah, I'm like, I'm going right this way.
Whose truck is it? Whose truck is it?
Which one?
Yeah, you better quit parking there. They'll really hit your car.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
She the first one to hit it, because she knows she got that big old SUV right there.
Okay.
hey sis,
Yes.
you seen the last YouTube we posted? Nope. They was on your helmet in the comments. You know how they was on your helmet in the comments. They said, sis, who is sis talking to like this? Sis need to repent. They was on your, I got phone calls.
Did you?
Yes.
That's good. That's good feedback, ain't it?
Yeah, that's great feedback.
Yeah.
They said they need you to repent. And
Oh,
fix it.
man. Y'all, wait till after the Sabbath. I got y'all. After the
feeling
Sabbath.
like-
Bruh, after.
She's so feeling like,
Hey,
all right. Hey, we listening.
Go to Leviticus. Another Leviticus. 1 Corinthians 11.
Are we ain't in Deuteronomy?
No, we talking about the Passover.
All right, then.
And what the
That's good,
bread
'cause
and
she
the
on
wine
point, though.
represent.
She know what she talking about. You know where it's at.
Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23. For I received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you.
So, the same thing that Christ said that we read in Matthew, this is what Paul is expounding on. Read.
The Lord Jesus, the same night which he was betrayed, took bread. We had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you.
So this is you agreeing to the covenant. Read.
This do in remembrance of me.
He said, do it in remembrance of me. Read.
After the same manner also, he took he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood.
So this Christ dying was the New Testament. That's where you in the blood of Christ. You're under the covenant of Christ and not the one that Moses said. Read.
This do ye, as oft as you drink.
Say that again.
No, I'm talking to him.
Okay.
Oh, she said it a little sharp.
Okay.
This do ye, as oft as you drink it in remembrance of me.
So it said, do it as often. When you come together, do it often. Not first Sunday, not fourth Sunday. As often as you come together, do it in the remembrance of Christ. Because we're all under that same covenant. Whether you keep the commandments or not, you're still going to get the judgments. Read.
For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore?
This is what we're supposed to be signifying on your so-called resurrection day. He said do this. He didn't say go find eggs in the field. He didn't say go get your best pink and purple Easter suit and show up to church on that Sunday. He said do this to remember me. As often as you come together. Not once a year in the beginning of the year on this so-called Holy Week. Read.
Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord.
Because if you're doing this, there is a consequence. Read.
Unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord.
So if you're eating this bread and drinking the wine and you're not keeping the commandments, you're unworthy. Read.
But let a man examine himself.
So examine yourself. Are you going to drink this cup and eat this bread? Read.
And so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily, eateth and drinketh damnation to himself.
You're going to be destroyed. That's why so many people are getting jacked up. That's why the church hadn't healed it, because it doesn't understand what they're doing, having people take the communion, and you bald-faced it. You about to go to your favorite restaurant and order shrimp, crab, and lobster right after you eat this bread, and you wonder why you got cysts, cancer. Read.
Not discerning the Lord's body.
Because you don't care about the Lord's body. He said, this is holy, sacred. Do it in remembrance of me. Read.
For this cause, many are weak and sickly among you.
That's why our people are jacked up. Because Christian church had them taking communion, not reading the scripture to them, saying that there's a consequence if you're not keeping the commandments. Or if you do mess up and you're taking this, there's consequence. Read.
For this cause, many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep.
Many getting put to death.
That's right.
So you want to take communion right now? You do? It said examine yourself whether you're keeping the commandments or not. So you saying that you're going to take communion, saying that you're going to keep the commandments. Because if you go back on your word, the curses of the Bible is going to happen in your life.
What do you mean by that?
Elaborate on your question.
So I'm Catholic, right? And we take communion every Sunday, confession. Why is it so wrong to celebrate Easter with your family, even though you go to church, celebrate the Word, you do everything He says to the best of your ability, and then you go celebrate Easter with your family? From what I'm hearing, like I don't disagree with you. I'm just trying to understand what's wrong about that.
What's wrong with it is that's paganism. It's a man-made holiday. It's not.
Everything is a man-made holiday.
Read one, because he missed the first part. That goes over.
Passover?
Yeah, Passover.
Okay.
I'll recap, but to answer the question that you got right now, John 14. If you love me.
The book of John, chapter 14 and verse 15. If you
So
love
this is
me,
the summary to answer the overall question, but I'm going to go back into history. Read.
If you love me, keep my commandments.
So Christ said, if you love me, you're going to do what I say.
Right.
So when you went to church, did they read a commandment saying celebrate Easter in the
Not
Bible?
Celebrate Easter, but the resurrection.
So did Christ ever say in the Bible, celebrate me dying and raising on the third day? Is that a commandment?
No, it's not.
So if he didn't command it, are we supposed to do it?
Okay.
So that's why I read John 14.
Okay.
If you love me, keep my commandment. Because I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. Go to Leviticus 23. So this is what he told us to do.
Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel.
So he said, speak to the Israelites, and this is what I'm going to have you to do. Read.
And say unto them, concerning the feast of the Lord.
So this is what you should celebrate. Read.
Right. Which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations.
These are your holy days, not holidays.
Right, yes.
Read.
Even these are my feasts.
These are God's feasts.
Yep.
Read.
6 days shall work be done. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest.
So one thing is, what's the first day of the week? Not the work week, but the first day of the week.
Sunday.
Sunday is the first day of the week. When does church go to church? When
Like-
does Christianity? On Sundays.
Like people goers that go to church Sundays.
So did God command us to go worship Him?
You
On
should
the
worship
first
Him every day.
That's true, but I'm saying congregate. Did He tell us to congregate on the first day?
No. So first
Thank
day
you,
of the month,
sis.
or just like first of the month or first day of the
He
week?
said, these are my feasts, these are
Right.
my feasts, this is what I'm telling you to do. 6 days you can work. So the first day of the week is Sunday.
Right.
I'm going to finish this and then re-ask my question. Read.
6 days shall work be done.
Uh-huh.
But the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest.
So the seventh day is
Saturday, yeah.
the day of rest. What do we do on Saturdays? Do we rest on Saturdays?
I mean, it depends on the person. You can.
Yeah, I'm up here waiting.
I mean, I know
There's a definition to
I know
rest.
most people do go to church on Saturdays, Sundays, Wednesdays. It just depends on if you make time to go to church, but you can also read the Bible at home and celebrate the Word at home with your family.
That's true too. But it's a commandment to convocate on this day. He said, "These are my feasts," and I'm telling you exactly, because to rest means something. It don't mean
Right.
just lay in the bed and chill and think about God. That's
Yes, right. You're right.
That's not what this rest is. He's going to explain it. He said all work can be done, but Saturday is the most popular day to do work, right? To get that extra pay, do them side hustles that you can't do because you got to go to work. God said rest on this day. Does the world do that? So the world isn't keeping the commandment of God. They chose to do it on Sunday, and it still isn't rest. Let's get rest.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 16, verse 23. And he said unto them, this is that which the Lord has said.
So God is commanding something. This is a commandment. Read.
Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord.
So I know y'all wasn't here earlier, but the day starts at night. So tonight will be the seventh day. Going into Saturday, which is still the seventh day.
Right.
Saturday night starts the first day. Read.
Bake that which you will bake today.
So cook what you're going to cook right now, today. Prepare for the Sabbath. Read.
And sieve that you will sieve.
Cook what you're going to cook.
And that which remaineth over, lay up for you to be kept until the morning.
So this is one part of that rest. So after church, what did everybody do? I know back when I was a kid, we hit Golden Corral right after church. Purge.
Yeah.
So if Sunday was the actual day, is the church really keeping God's commandments? No. God said on the seventh day, you rest and you don't cook and you don't work. Nehemiah. I said Numbers. I'm on Nehemiah now. So now we talked about, we're on the subject of resting on the seventh day, not the first day. We can't cook or work. We can do all of that 90% of the week. 10%. This is where you get your 10%. Huh? This is where you get your 10% that you're going to give back to God, and that's you resting. Read.
It's the book of Nehemiah, chapter 10 and verse 31. And if the people of the land bring ware or any victuals on the Sabbath day.
So if their shops are open, read.
To sell, that we would not buy it of them on the Sabbath.
So on Saturday, Friday night to Saturday night, God said, do not buy anything. Don't do it. But what we do, we go to the club, we go dancing, we at the bars, we go to the movies, we take the family out for a family day on Friday night and Saturday night. Yep. The very day that God said don't do it, you got all the other days to do that. Read.
Or on the holy day.
Or on the holy day. That's a Passover. That's a new moon. That's a feast of dedication. Don't do it. Read.
That we will leave the seventh year and the exaction of every debt.
That's Jubilee. So, does that answer the question on what to do? What was your nationality?
Hispanic and Italian.
Who's Italian?
My mom's side.
So your mom's side.
7'9".
Who's which Hispanic tribe are you?
Hispanic tribe? Probably Aztec or something like that.
So Mexican.
Yeah.
So you being Catholic, the conquistadors gave you that name.
Right. Spaniard, yes.
They call you his Spaniard. Shortened is Hispanic.
Okay.
You were a slave to them and they gave you their religion the way they saw fit. This is another Caucasian race who took you away from God's commandments and now you're following their commandments. The Catholic Church is the whore of the Bible. We can read it in Revelation.
You can say what you want, which is cool.
I'm not saying.
No. I'm not saying anything else, but like, I agree with you on some parts. We both read from the same Bible. The word is spoken differently, but it's the same message.
No, it's not. Because let me stop you there. You said it's the same message.
Same message, but
your
different
same
speaker.
message got everybody worshiping God on Sunday when he never said Sunday was the day to worship.
I don't worship God on this.
You go to church on Sunday. That's worship.
I worship God every day.
No, you don't, because you can't. You don't know how to. The churches hadn't taught you how to serve God. He gave you a belief. He gave you a belief system in God, which is called religion. But to serve God, what we read, go back to Deuteronomy.
So when he's finding that, at the end of Mass, every Sunday, the priest says, go and spread the word in the name of God. So we go out and spread the word of God to people. We're not just in church one day, doing our 2 hours, standing, kneeling, hearing it one ear out the other. It depends on the person. So when I go to church, I listen and I take notes and I read the Bible. When I get home and reflect on what he said, and then when I go out, let's say to Chili's, I go out and spread the word to whoever is serving us.
Okay, and that's just like every other American, void of the understanding of what the service actually is. You're involved in a religion. Religion is white man made. It doesn't serve God at all.
So
because
you can't serve God.
Correct. According to the text written, no one that claims to be Catholic, Orthodox, non-denomination, Muslim, atheist,
So they're all wrong.
all of y'all are atheists. It's all wrong.
Right.
It's an imagination of a God that is not the true God of the Bible. Read what you got.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10 and verse 12.
Uh-huh.
Now Israel,
this book was written by Hebrews or the Israelites to the Hebrews, to the Israelites. Can you identify them today?
Probably not.
Well, if we read our Bible, we'll be able to identify, because I can tell you exactly where your people will be in the last days according to this text. God identifies you as Issachar, not a Hispanic, not an Aztec slave. That's what your Catholicism masters called you, to make you bow down to them and serve them forever. They stole your land and gave you a religion and said it was God. Why would we serve something like that when we are the God?
That's right.
Read.
And now Israel, what doeth the Lord thy God require of thee?
So what does God require of the children, of his people? What's your answer?
To love everyone just as he loves us.
Okay, so what's the definition of love according to God? Get it? Because you say you study. I'm not telling him where to go. Look, watch. I'm going to tell you how the difference between us studying and serving God is a difference than what religion has taught. Because I'm not telling him where to go, and I know exactly what he's going to read. This is the love, read.
It's the book of 1 John, chapter 5, verse 3. For this is the love of God.
So you said to love God. Well, we got to define what's love, because how I love my kids is different from how he loves his kids.
Right, yes.
So God loves us differently than what he loves everybody else. So how do we love him? Read.
That we keep his commandments.
That's the love of God, to keep his commandments. Read.
And his commandments are not grievous.
It's not grievous to stop going to church on Sunday and start congregating on Saturday, to keep the actual rest day that was given to us. That's why I'm saying you're not serving God, because to love him is to serve him. To fear him is to serve him. And to serve him is to do exactly what he said to do. We can't make up our own righteousness.
Right. Can you read verse 2 for him too?
Go ahead.
It's the book of 1 John, chapter 5 and verse 2.
Because this go cover what you said too. This is how we define everything, not by what we think or by our own vain opinion,
Right.
but by the laws, statutes, and commandments, and what is written in the whole volume of the book. Read.
By this we know that we love the children of God.
So this is how we know.
Let me say something. You see my confidence and my demeanor on how I'm speaking about the Bible? That's why. Because I know I love God. You'll be able to spot us out of anybody in the crowd. And say, oh yeah, that's an Israelite. They serve God. Can you do that with a Christian? You went to Walmart.
I can't speak on other people.
I'm
I
saying
can only
you.
speak on myself.
I'm saying you, because you should be able to identify who serves God and who doesn't.
Why am I judging?
Because He gave us the power to, according to what He says. My judgment is, matter of fact, I'll read it for you. Give me Ezekiel 3. I want Ezekiel 3. This is me judging you. This is me right now judging, and this is the extent of it.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 3 and verse 17.
What do you say, bro?
I ain't got nothing to do with that, y'all.
I heard somebody go, like you don't agree with this?
I don't got nothing to do with that.
You don't believe in God?
I ain't got nothing to do with that.
All right. Thou sayest. Read.
Ezekiel chapter 3 verse 17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman.
So God said, I made you a watchman. A watchman is supposed to watch out for the people. That's why I say you should be able to identify who's keeping God's commandments and who's not. Because I can surely identify who is. And seeing that, I know who ain't. I know who don't have the understanding. Read.
Unto the house of Israel.
To the Israelites. This ain't for the world. You're watching out for Israel. Read.
Therefore hear the word in my mouth.
And just the watchman part. I asked you what's your nationality. I separated your mom from your dad. Judgment in this Bible told me that you're an Israelite and you're not a heathen.
That's right.
So yeah, I do have the power to judge based off of this judgment book. Read.
Therefore hear the word in my mouth.
So hear these words. Read.
And give them warning from me.
This is the judgment. I'm giving you warning that you're in a cult, that you're not serving God. They haven't taught you to serve God or to love Him or to fear Him. Read. It's not an opinion. This is God speaking, not me. Read.
When I say unto the wicked.
So when I tell a person that's in Catholicism, read.
Thou shalt surely die.
That is killing you. Read.
And thou givest him not warning.
So if I didn't give you this warning, read.
Nor speaketh to warn the wicked from his wicked ways. To save his life.
To save your life from religion. Read.
The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity.
You're going to die in that sin, in idolatry, witchcraft. Read.
But his blood will I require at thine hand.
So blood ain't on my hand because you got the warning. Blood ain't on my hand, thou sayest. Read.
Yet, if thou warn the wicked.
But if I warned you, read.
And he turned not from his wickedness.
And you don't stop serving in this religion the way you think it is and not as it's written, read.
Nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul.
We straight. We good because we gave the warning. You said, I can't judge you. He said he has no parts in this. Well, I told you, you're a son of God, and God requires you to keep His commandments as Israelites. Not as religion told you, because it's false. It's idolatry.
That's right.
All right, well, on that note, I'm going to leave, but, Kale, can you see one last time? And then I'm out. Yeah.
You getting deployed?
Yeah. No, I got PCS, so I'm going to a different base.
To Washington?
Yeah.
It's another one gone, my guy. Another one gone.
Be safe on your
Love
travels,
you,
man.
man.
Be safe on your travels.
Take care.
All right, I hope you consider. Our information is on the back.
All right. Take care.
Check us out on YouTube. How's it going? You snuck in here. I didn't even see you.
Don't scare me. You scared me last time.
I know.
So, back to...
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is Roll ups. Nation is unity. Nation is you.